Think about breath, okay? You take in a breath, it's going to go into your mouth, it's going to go into your throat, it's going to go into your bronchi here, but it takes a while to actually get to your lungs. So why would you want to breathe a bunch of very short, shallow breaths? You're not using that air. So 50% of it is going into your body and out without ever being used. By breathing slower and deeper, you can increase your efficiency by 35% over breathing shallow.
Breathing it's everything.
And there's so much science supporting how injurious it is to constantly be breathing through your mouth. There's no debate about that.
I think a fundamental change in the nature of medicine is required in order to meet the challenge that we're seeing of escalating healthcare costs and at the same time deteriorating health outcomes. The sad fact is that the diseases that we're trying to manage are mostly diseases rooted in lifestyle choices.
But what people don't realize is about 25 to 50% of the population habitually breathes through their mouths. And they don't realize the neurological problems that this causes, the respiratory problems this causes, problems with snoring, sleep apnea, even metabolic disorders. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
Isn't it interesting that we focus a lot on what we eat, how we sleep, we focus on hydration, nutrition, working out, but we can go a long time without eating or drinking something, but we can't go a long time without breathing the right way. And yet we hardly ever focus on the art of practicing how to breathe.
And this is something the ancients have known for thousands of years, and modern Westerners just have not been hip to this fact.
We have begun to train physicians in a new model of medicine. And let me review for you the fundamental principles of this new system. First, integrative medicine places great emphasis on the human organism's potential for self-regulation and healing. Now, this is not a new idea. This was enunciated by Hippocrates in the 5th century BC, who said that we should revere the healing power of nature.
Researchers are just discovering what cavemen knew for thousands of years. Nature has incredible healing powers.
Isn't it amazing that a lot of challenges we're faced with as humans, whether it be our teeth, our breathways, inflammation, the ability to exert energy in workouts or whatever it may be, are all affected from our ability to breathe or a lack of understanding how to breathe. Are we supposed to breathe through our chest? Are we supposed to breathe through more of our diaphragm? When do we breathe? How do our ancestors know this instinctively and we don't?
Human beings are not just physical bodies. We are also mental, emotional beings, spiritual entities, community members. And in order to understand health and disease, those other dimensions of human life have to be taken into account. The most marvelous fact of human biology is that they have the ability to regenerate tissue, to reestablish new equilibrium, to adapt to injury and loss. And that should be where good medicine begins.
When people start habitually breathing through their mouths, their noses are going to start to close up. And we know this from the doctor of speech-language pathology at Stanford. She measured people who had laryngectomies, holes drilled in their throats so they could breathe. She found between 2 months and 2 years, their noses were completely blocked. Zero air coming in. And from the researchers I'd been talking to, they were a bit frustrated too, seeing so many chronic conditions tied to mouth breathing and how so many of those could either be improved upon or sometimes outright cured by switching the pathway in which you breathe.
How do I not know that breathing through the nose is more beneficial? How do coaches not know this?
The stuff has been right in front of us the whole time, and it's so obvious that no one's really paying attention to it. And the scientific foundation, all the research is there. And that's what makes these researchers, these scientists, so frustrated, is we have 50 years of rock solid science here, showing the problems with mouth breathing, showing the problems with snoring and sleep apnea. No one's really been paying attention. We're treating all these separate problems that are associated with these core issues, and we're not looking at the core issue. And I think that breathing has to be considered along with diet and exercise as a pillar of health. Because even if you eat keto, vegan, paleo, whatever, even if you exercise all the time, if you're not breathing right, you're never really going to be healthy.
Air comes through your mouth air comes through your nose.
Yeah.
What is the difference between the air coming through your nose?
And to take that fist and imagine just pushing it inside of your head, that's about the volume of your nose and all the sinus cavities. So they even stretch up above your eyes. That air that comes in through the nose produces something called nitric oxide, which is this wonderful molecule that is a vasodilator that plays an essential role in oxygen delivery and also helps battle off viruses and bacteria and other pathogens. Helps battle off viruses and bacteria and other pathogens.
For people listening and not seeing this, I'm showing a cross section of a human skull. And so you will notice if you take a breath in through your nose, it has to run this gauntlet of different structures, past different tissues, past cilia, before it makes it into the throat, and before it makes it into your lungs. If you look at the mouth, none of that is there. So when you are breathing through your nose, you are humidifying air, you're pressurizing it, you're filtering it so that you can use that air so much more efficiently. If you don't believe me, go look at what's happened to people in the past 50 years, from BMI to asthma to COPD. I mean, things are out of control, and it's so common now that people just think, yeah, I snore. My wife has sleep apnea. I sleep in another room. There's nothing normal about this, and it's indisputable. No one is arguing with this research, and yet go around and look, and what do you see? A bunch of mouth breathers wherever you go. Oral posture plays such a huge role in this, and this is something that people are just starting to realize right now. 90% of us have this retrognathic growth, which means our faces are growing backwards, which is one of the reasons why our teeth are crooked, which is another reason why we have smaller airways, smaller mouth, smaller airway breathing problems. I had a hard time believing this until I went into the labs, till I was standing in this room surrounded by ancient skulls from people from Asia, Africa, Europe, South America, all over the world, all smiling back with perfectly straight teeth. My God, what have we done? Why do we get our teeth straightened? We get our teeth straightened because they grow in crooked. Why do they grow in crooked? Because they have a smaller playing field. They have a smaller mouth to grow in straight. So the Western approach to this, and this wasn't always this way, is let's remove more teeth from a mouth that's already crowded. And what's going to happen? The mouth is going to get smaller. So as this mouth gets smaller and smaller and smaller, your airway goes from this to this. It was pretty shocking to me to realize that breathing could be affected so significantly. So all of these orthodontists, and I probably talked to 20 of them, right, have said that there is this big wave coming, and we're going to look at what we've done 10 years from now and be horrified.